Hello and welcome again to the Bench Report, where we discuss recent debates and briefings from the benches of the UK Parliament. A new topic every episode. You're listening to Amy and Ivan. We are jumping straight into what is arguably the most acute domestic crisis facing the capital. Government support or the lack of it for house building in London. This isn't just a political talking point.
No, it's a massive failure, and that seems to be the consensus across the board. The debate made it brutally clear that construction in London has, well, it's essentially ground to a halt.
How bad are the numbers?
We look at the data for the first 9 months of 2025, and only 3,248 homes even began construction.
Just over 3,000.
In 9 months. And if you consider London is meant to deliver a quarter of the entire nation's 1.5 million home target, those numbers mean that national goal is, as one member put it, dead in the water.
And the human cost attached to this failure is simply staggering. We have over 336,000 households on social housing waiting lists across London.
And the most heartbreaking statistic for me, the one that really shows the system is collapsing, is that more than 97,000 children are currently homeless, living in temporary accommodation.
It's an overwhelming tragedy.
It is, and it carries an extreme price tag. That temporary accommodation is costing Londoners and taxpayers approximately £5 million.
Wait, say that figure again.
£5 million per day.
Per day. That number is almost difficult to comprehend. And I have to ask, is there a consensus that this cost is entirely attributable to policy failure?
The material suggests a huge portion is policy-driven. While some costs are inherent, the sheer scale of the crisis comes from a massive shortfall in genuinely affordable homes, which forces families into expensive emergency housing.
Which brings us to the central conflict of the debate. Why has construction stalled? There were two dramatically different diagnoses presented.
Completely different. The argument from Conservative members focused on the regulatory burden.
The Mayor's London plan.
Exactly. Their core critique is that the plan is a bureaucratic monster. To give you an idea, this single document is over 500 pages long and contains 123 separate planning policies.
500 pages. That sounds almost impossible for any developer to navigate.
They argue it's designed to create bottlenecks. It adds immense costs, like carbon offset payments that can be up to £3,000 per home, and very high affordable housing targets, 35% privately, 50% on public land. It just makes developing brownfield sites unviable.
So that's one side of the coin. What about the counter-argument from labor sources? Was it about bureaucracy for them, or was it about money?
It was absolutely framed as a funding crisis. They suggested that slowdown is a direct legacy of previous government austerity and a chronic lack of direct investment in social housing.
And their evidence for that?
They countered by noting the current mayor averaged 10,000 more homes completed per year than his Conservative predecessor, suggesting the plan itself wasn't the core issue, but the financial support to actually execute it was missing.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the urgency forced both City Hall and the government to agree on some time-limited emergency measures to kickstart building.
They did. They agreed on two specific relaxations. First, fast-track planning is now available for schemes providing only 20% affordable housing, down from 35%.
That's a huge drop.
It is, but there is a condition. 60% of that reduced amount must be for social rent. Second, they mandated partial relief on the borough-level community infrastructure levy, or CIL.
Which is essentially a charge on developers to pay for local infrastructure, like schools and roads.
Precisely. Reducing it on brownfield sites immediately lowers the upfront cost for builders.
But that reduction to a 20% affordable target, that must have ignited a political backlash.
It did. Many members voiced concern that this felt like adding insult to injury for families on waiting lists. They argued it primarily rewards developers.
And there was also anxiety about new powers for the mayor, wasn't there?
A lot of it. The mayor is set to receive new powers to call in developments of 50 homes or more. Critics suggest this is undemocratic and takes decisions away from local councils. The big fear is that it could push development onto the protected greenbelt instead of those more complex brownfield sites.
So, connecting all of this together, what's the final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
It all really boils down to land value. The only way to make these schemes viable without massive state subsidy is to cut the affordable housing part, which drives up profits. So the provocative question for you is this. Can you really solve a housing crisis by simply encouraging more private housing, whatever the affordability, Or is the only real solution a massive political shift to state-led investment in social and council housing, breaking that cycle of viability entirely?
As always, find us on social media at Bench Report UK. Get in touch with any topic important to you. Remember, politics is everyone's business. Take care.
Hello there, this is Tom, the producer of The Bench Report. Listener suggestions are vital to my mission of making politics more accessible and accountable. So, if you have an issue that's really important to you, personally or professionally, and want to know what those in power are doing about it, please get in touch via email or via our socials at Bench Report UK. I'll grab another coffee and start scanning those parliamentary archives.